Welcome back to another video, and in this one I'm going to be giving you my first thoughts and impressions on the brand new XSR900. So recently I was given the opportunity to fly to Italy and test out the brand new XSR900, and while I will be making a video of the whole experience and giving you some of the behind the scenes footage of what we got up to at the event, I thought I'd take the opportunity now to give you my first thoughts and impressions on the bike after 150 kilometers riding through the Italian hills. So a lot of you will know that I ride an XSR700 as my daily rider, so I thought I'd try to throw in some comparisons with the 700 and answer some of the questions that I've seen on the forums from you guys who are trying to make up your mind whether you should buy the 700 or the 900. So let's start off with something that's not necessarily the most important thing about a bike, but definitely plays a huge role in deciding which bike to buy: the looks. And I think with the 900, this is probably one of the most polarising things about the bike. And judging by some of the initial comments I've seen online, I think you either love it or you hate it. And one thing that sticks out the most is probably the Delta box frame. Now I didn't think I'd like that frame when I first saw it in pictures, but in the flesh it actually looks really good. And to be honest, it's a throwback to the old garage built naked bikes, where someone's just taken a sport bike, ripped the fairings off, stuck a single headlight on and turned it into a street bike. So in that regard, I think it looks fantastic, and it really does look better in the flesh than it does in the pictures. Another one of the most controversial factors of the bike is the seat, and I've seen a lot of comments online from people who absolutely hate it. And while it does look a bit strange in first impressions, I'm sure you'll be able to get some aftermarket ones for it soon. And again, it's another one of those things that really doesn't look that bad up close, and actually really suits the retro lines of the bike. Now the XSR900 only comes in two colours, the blue or the black, and both of them look really good, especially in the sunlight with that metallic paint. And as usual with the XSR range, they fitted it with a single round headlight to give it that retro look, and this time they fitted it with bar end mirrors as stock, which I think really adds to the retro look and sleekness of the profile of the bike. If you get it in the blue colour, it comes with some stunning gold forks, and if you get it in black, it's a full black front end. Moving on to the riding position, they've kept a really low seat height on this, which is actually pretty similar to the XSR700, and that's one thing a lot of people have been asking about. Is the 900 too big of a bike when you're looking at both the 700 and the 900? But to be honest, at 810mm, it's actually a really low seat height. And even for me, a shorter rider at 5'8", I can touch the floor with flat feet on both sides, and it was a really comfortable position. So if you're trying to decide between the 700 and the 900, and seat height is a factor for you, then don't worry, they're pretty much identical. And for the taller riders out there, the low seat height shouldn't be too much of an issue. With two positions for the foot pegs, you can drop them down a bit and give yourself a little bit of extra legroom. And I'm sure there'll be some aftermarket rear sets in the future. So the bars are slightly lower than the last 900, which gives a bit more of a forward position. And I think they've done this to give it more of a cafe racer feel, although it's by no means in the position of a sport bike. So there's not too much pressure on the wrists, and after a few hours riding, my back was still intact. Another similarity to the 700 is the weight. And believe it or not, this is only about 10 kilos heavier than the 700. And paired with that low seat height, it's really confidence inspiring when you get on. So if that's another factor in your decision between the two, and you thought the 900 was going to be a big heavy beast, it really isn't. But apart from the retro looks, the seating position and the weight, that's probably where the similarities between this and the 700 end. Because under the hood, the 900 is absolutely packed with tech and has some far superior upgrades to the 700. Starting off with the suspension, on the front you've got a pair of fully adjustable forks, and on the rear you've got a rebound adjustable shock, neither of which comes standard on the 700. Rider aids come in the form of cruise control, which is an absolute godsend if you've got a lot of motorway miles to do, driver modes which range from 1 to 4, 4 being the most mild and 1 being the most sporty, all of which can be controlled from the hand switch even if you're riding. All you need to do is roll off the throttle, and it's all displayed on a super bright TFT display, although I do wish they'd added some colour here and modernised it a bit, like some of the competitors. It's even got a 6-axis IMU for lean sensitive traction control, stability control, front wheel lift control and lean sensitive ABS, each of which can be adjusted independently in the driver mode settings. or can be turned off completely depending on how much control you want. And my favourite, and probably the one you'll notice most when riding, is the quick shifter, both up and down, which is buttery smooth no matter the speed. Whether you're riding around in town or on the long fast twisties, it's a really nice feature to have. And to be honest, by the time I'd finished some of the faster sections, I'd completely forgotten what clutch was. Definitely something I'm going to miss when I get back on the 700. It's also equipped with a slipper clutch, so on the downshifts, even without rev matching, this thing is really smooth. So, how does the bike sound? This was one thing I was worried about when I got on the bike. Knowing that the Euro 5's emissions has pretty much killed any chance of a nice loud exhaust, I was thinking it was going to be a bit muted. But as explained to us in the press launch from Yamaha, one thing they've concentrated on to get around this is the sound of the air intake. And when I jumped on the bike and heard the thing, I could really see what they were talking about. The sound of the airbox is amazing, and it really brings out the character of the CP3 engine. Unlike the 700, which has got a parallel twin and a really thumpy exhaust note, the CP3 engine is super smooth sounding, and the air intake is really impressive to hear. You can buy an aftermarket Akropovich exhaust from Yamaha, which mounts onto the side of the bike and looks a lot more retro, but to be honest, it doesn't change the sound of the exhaust that much, and that's again thanks to the Euro 5's emissions. But even without that, and a fully underslung twin exhaust, this bike does sound incredible. But how does the bike actually ride? Well, don't be fooled by the retro looks, because on the road this thing is anything but retro. It's an absolutely fantastic bike to ride. It feels really light, nimble, and you can really throw it into the corners. And thanks to the slightly longer swing arm than the last 900, this thing feels absolutely planted on the road, whether you're in a corner or on a fast straight. And with the 890cc engine pushing 117 horsepower at only 196 kilos, to say this thing is fast is an understatement. So, all in all, what do I think of the bike? Well, right through from the retro looks to the super agile handling, extremely punchy engine which is packed with the latest tech, a comfortable upright seating position and a characterful sound, I'd say this is a hell of a bike. So, thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for the next video, which will be focused more on the behind the scenes and what we got up to at the launch event. I want to say a massive thank you to Yamaha for inviting me. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more rides and reviews. And as always, ride safe, and I'll see you in the next one.